Finding Dory is a very interesting film because it's rare that a sequel tries to make you feel like an asshole for enjoying the first one. Hi everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for Finding Dory. Now, I have recently gotten a ton of new subscribers, and many of you are probably going, what's the post-Geekout reaction? The post-Geekout reaction is not a review. We are not actually going to do a review for Finding Dory because I am actually backlogged on reviews. I've got 2 that I currently have to edit, so I don't have time to do a review for Finding Dory. But basically, what the reviews are more professional. I sit down, I come up with a script, I come up with every single thing that I want to talk about. I do no spoilers in the reviews. Post-Geekout reactions, it's just a discussion. It's just our honest thoughts about the thing that we just watched.
And there's tons of spoilers.
And yeah, that's the most important thing. It's that we have full-on discussions. And
yes.
That means if you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled about anything, you might want to tune out now, because we are not going to try and censor ourselves in any way, shape, or form. These are just our honest thoughts, and that includes just bringing up spoilers. In fact, we're not even going to go in order, so if you're like, well, I'll just watch this until it gets to the point where they tell me to tune out for spoilers, like, no, we are going to just bring it up whenever we feel like it. But yeah, as I said, the post-Geekout reactions, more just a discussion. It's like a podcast with pictures. But yeah, so sorry that we're not doing a review of Finding Dory.
Facecam podcast.
Alright, it's like this podcast on Skype. That's a thing that someone's going to come up with eventually. But yeah, as I said, I've got 2 other reviews coming out this week from movies that came out weeks ago and no one even cares about. E3 completely screwed me up, because I had a schedule in place. I was like, alright, I'm gonna get all this stuff done and talk about these things on these days. And then all of a sudden I just looked on Twitter and when E3 starts today, I went, oh, get the fudge out. Get out. So yeah, for a whole week, everything was put back. So yeah, that's why we're not doing the Finding Dory review. So I hope that for everybody out there who has seen Finding Dory, you enjoy our discussion. And the first thing I gotta discuss is that between this and Zootopia, this is the year of Disney talking about massive, important issues that no other movie is talking about, and they're using adorable animals to get those messages across. Yeah, so let me just say that I really enjoyed Finding Nemo. It was a big surprise. That was back in the day in which I was like, Pixar, I don't really care about any of that stuff. I like Monsters University, but that's it. Aside from that, I don't really care about Pixar. And then I saw Finding Nemo.
Monsters, Inc.?
What'd I say?
You said Monsters University, the prequel to Monsters, Inc.
It took me a long time for Pixar to win me over. No, yeah, Monsters Inc. Yeah, Monsters Inc. was the one in which I was like, that one's really good, but I don't care about Toy Story or any of the other stuff they've done. Did they do? What else did they do back
They did A Bug's Life.
Oh yeah, it's like...
No one remembers A Bug's Life.
Yeah, it's like, Bug's Life is, whatever. So yeah, I wasn't really that big into Pixar, but then when I saw this, I was like, oh geez, this is like next level stuff. But I will admit, at the same time, ever since then, all the other movies that have come out from Pixar, you know, Up, Ratatouille, I could keep going on, pretty much all of those really touched me more than Finding Nemo. Like, Finding Nemo is great, it's an emotional journey, but like, I didn't feel a connection with any of the characters like I did in all of their other films.
Like, so you're saying it'd be like a step into the direction of feeling more emotions in Pixar movies?
I would just say in quality of storytelling, because, I mean, yeah, it was an incredibly emotional story.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not that I didn't look at it and go, well, there is no story here, it's not emotional. It was like, no, I looked at it and I was like, this is stunning. In fact, I would even say it's better than a lot of the other films that I enjoyed more from Pixar. Just, I felt a personal, like, connection on some level. Like, I would even say that Finding Nemo is better than The Incredibles, but The Incredibles might be my favorite Pixar film for obvious reasons. But then beyond that, like, Ratatouille is probably my next favorite one from them. Wall-E right after that. But Finding Nemo at the same time is like, if someone tells me they think it's the best film they've done, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I understand. But I was kind of like weirded out when I heard that they were making a sequel to this, because it was just kind of like, really? You wrapped everything up. There's nothing left. And then when they announced it was Finding Dory, I was like, how the heck are you going to do that? Like, how are you going to make the entire film following her? She has the short-term memory loss, so if she doesn't have anyone around her, that joke is going to get really old.
You know, like, originally I thought they were going to do, like, a prequel like they did with Monsters University. Like, I thought it was going to be Dory going on these adventures, but then she keeps forgetting them. Like, she,
that'd be
yeah, exactly. Like, like she's tired of forgetting everything, so she's going to be like, I'm going to go on such an amazing adventure that I will never forget it. But she runs into Marlon, and then she realizes it's not how big of an adventure you have, it's who you share it with that makes you remember it. That's what I thought they were going to go for.
That's a hell of a pitch.
Yeah.
That's straight from a poster. It's not the size of the adventure, it's who you do it with, whatever it was that you just said.
Yeah. Hire me.
But yeah, when I heard they were making this, I was like, that joke is gonna get old. And when this movie started, it started getting old like immediately with me. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to deal with this one joke over and over again, because in the first one, that joke was great. That joke made me laugh all throughout it, much because she was the second banana. She was the comedy relief. In this one, I was like, you can't make the comedy relief the star. And then it doesn't take long before all of a sudden it hits me that I was like, oh, this isn't a joke. They're taking it serious in this one. Like, I made that joke at the beginning of this video that this made you feel like an asshole for laughing at that first one. It does. Because this thing turns to you and it goes, oh, you thought that was funny? This is a serious crippling disease that she has. This is a serious condition that she has to deal with. This is wrecking her life. And I was like, oh my God, like, it does not take you long until you realize this is not a movie about a fish trying to find her parents. It's a movie about what it's like to have a child that's special needs. Like, and you can fit very much anything in there, autism, Down syndrome, like anything. This short-term memory loss is basically the metaphor for any of that. It's the same thing that worked with Zootopia, because Zootopia was all about the discriminations of gender, race, sexuality, but because everyone's animals, they never once had to stop and actually say what they were specifically talking about. You in the audience could figure it out. But because they were animals, they could have it represent anything they needed to represent in that moment. And it worked beautifully. Same thing here. There are moments in which they say, like, Dory, she figured this out in her own special way, that special way that she thinks. Like, they kept using that phrase over and over again. It's like, I've heard that phrase. That is not a phrase you made up for this. Like, anybody who has ever known anybody who has autism, like, that is a phrase that gets used. So, yeah, this one, like I said, it is like Zootopia, how it just sweep the legs out from under you, because I didn't know that that's what this movie was going to be about, and it is a large part of this, because you keep seeing like flashbacks to her parents, and her parents trying to help her, and it was like, yeah, that is what it's like for parents with special needs kids. And then there's a moment in which you see them by themselves, and they're like, is she ever going to be able to have a life on her own? And I was like, Jesus, that is like the exact concern that parents have about this stuff.
Like, that was like Marlon's concern in Finding Nemo. Is like he was so afraid that Nemo would not be able to like swim on his own because he had his lucky fin.
I forgot that about the first one until it popped up.
Yeah, and that's what caused Nemo to like swim away and get caught in the first place. He was like rebelling against his dad because he was tired of his dad telling him that he can't do things. Mm-hmm. But Dory's parents are actually like really the complete opposite. They're so supportive, they're so loving, and instead of giving up on Dory, they are constantly trying to find ways to help her remember things.
Yeah.
And they're always congratulating her when she does remember things, and if she has trouble, they say, it's okay, we could just find a different way. There's always a way, and that is so wonderful.
Yeah, like seriously, to any parent out there who has a kid with special needs, like, this is the film for you. And also, it's so weird because at the end of this movie, you are totally looking at Dory in a different way. Like, because before you look at her almost like a Looney Tunes character who has like one running gag. It's like, all right, yeah, she's like a two-dimensional running gag character. And then at the end, you look at it, it's like, no, this was the story of someone with special needs. I mean, this is better than Forrest Gump or any of those other, like, I can't think of many other examples at the moment, but because most of the ones I'm thinking of right now are like Radio and Sam I Am, and they're all garbage films. I'm trying to, like, it's not hard to be better than those, but it's pretty much a better film about that than any of the other examples I can bring up from any other movie. Because I mean, there's a moment at the end in which she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go out on my own, like Marla's just watching her, and like they're having like a conversation, like, and you can tell that like the way that Marla is interacting with her you now look at it in a different way than you looked at previously. Because before it was like, yeah, Marlin, that's his friend, whatever. It's like, no, Marlin now has concerns about her, but he is now learning to accept her for who she is, and that he should be willing to let her go off on her own, because she is capable of living a life on her own, even if she does have this condition. Yeah, it is just stunning to me that they were able to pull something like this off. But just speaking beyond that, this is also, like, one of my big concerns going into this is that it was just going to be the same as the first film. It's a big adventure all across the ocean and blah, 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 blah. No, it takes them like 5 seconds to reach their destination, and their destination is an animal rescue, like a marine biology rescue. What's a good word for like a Sea World? The good version of SeaWorld.
I don't know if it is a good version of SeaWorld, because it's like, they're saying is rescue, rehabilitate, and release, but you never really see any of the fish get released.
Well, I think that didn't they mention that they mentioned it throughout here though.
They mentioned it, but I didn't really see it, so I don't know if I was just something they lied to they're lying to the public to make themselves look good or anything.
Because the fish themselves mentioned at one point, it's like, oh yeah, that fish isn't here anymore, they got released. It's like, or they mentioned it's like, oh yeah, any fish that doesn't have this by morning will just be let back into the ocean. And it's because I remember that there was one point, I think it was the seals, were saying, oh, don't worry about your friend, she's in quarantine, and in morning they'll just let her back out into the ocean, something like that.
I guess.
Yeah.
But it's I just feel like they didn't really much emphasis on that.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, it's like this isn't being told from the human's point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's what I really like about this is that it's not some big adventure all across the ocean again, because we already had that. They instantly reach their location, and then it's a prison break film basically, because it's her. Well, not really. One part prison break, and one part kind of like a sneaking into an espionage kind of thing, because it's about these fishes having to now break into a heist film in a way, kind of
like a heist and a breakout at the same time.
Yeah.
Because Marlin's trying to get in to get Dory out, and Dory's trying to find her family and get out. So it's you're switching back and forth between these two.
Yeah, but then you also have this brand new character of Hank.
Yes.
Who is great, and he's voiced by Ed O'Neill. I did not know that until the end of the film. I could not tell that was Ed O'Neill. But Hank is this octopus who is helping Dory through the park, and the reason he's helping Dory through the park is because Dory has a tag on her, and the tag, any animal with a tag on it gets shipped out to Cleveland. Anyone that doesn't have a tag gets put back into the ocean, and Hank is like, I'm not going back into the ocean. He never tells you why, but it's very clear that it's okay, some stuff has happened to Hank. He's got his own story going on there that we don't get to see.
You mentioned how this movie touches on mental illnesses and stuff. I kind of feel like Hank suffers from social anxiety, or anxiety in general, because first off, he mentions that he loses a tentacle.
So, oh yeah.
Yeah, the running gag is he's not an octopus, he's a septopus.
Yeah.
And another reason why I feel and he's I already lost one tentacle, I don't want to lose another one, trying to break out. And then there was that scene when they were in the little tide pool area where the children were able to touch the fish and everything, and he was just panicking and trying to squeeze himself into a corner.
I don't get the feeling that it was social anxiety. I get the feeling it was PTSD. I get the feeling that it's because it's Ed O'Neill, and Ed O'Neill has played guys I know on Modern Family he plays a Vietnam vet, but I get the feeling more that it was no, I've seen stuff, I've been out there, it's not good. Maybe maybe not necessarily a war PTSD kind of thing, because that's
something. It doesn't have to be a war for you to have PSD or post-traumatic stress. Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean that's kind of what happened to Marlin, because his all his kids except Nemo and his wife got eaten by a giant fish, so that's why he was always paranoid about his son's safety. So that might be why Hank's so worried about going back into the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. It's in other words, he's got his own story there, which automatically shows that even though we don't find out what it is a character with some depth to him. But he's trying to break out of this. He's trying to help her get through this so that he can then break out of it. And all throughout it, he's using his camouflage to sneak around the park. So yeah, it's some really clever stuff that they do with that. But yeah, that's one complaint that I've heard people have is that, oh, it's just the same thing as the first one. Someone trying to get home. It's like, I disagree with them on that. I mean, on the surface, it absolutely seems like that's what it is, but it's a very different type of mission that they're going on. It's not trying to find someone, it's trying to find someone by breaking into a place. It's not more of that adventure. Also, I'd like to say that another complaint that I've heard a lot of other critics having is that Dory's memory problem seems to just go away at the end of the film because they need her to remember stuff in order for it to work out. She is remembering a lot of stuff towards the end of this, but I didn't have that problem myself because you see her actually like struggling to remember. Like you see her actually having to stop and go, oh, it was something. And seeing how bad her memory was in the first one, and seeing how hard she is fighting to hold on to these memories and think about them, just to me makes the stakes even higher because it lets you as the audience know how hard she has to be working to actually make this progress.
Like, also they kind of, like, touched on this in the first movie. Like, she mentions to, like Marlon, it's like, please don't go. When I'm around you, I remember things better. And so I kind of feel like that's kind of why her memory is better in the end of Finding Dory, because she's around, like, loved ones who support her and care for her, and family, basically.
I can see that. Speaking of the first one, that was something else I wanted to bring up, which is that it is impossible to watch that first film now and feel the same way. Like,
yes.
It's like, not just because now you're going to look at Dory like, oh, this is not like some silly gag that they put in there. This is like a crippling condition that she has, a condition that is actually like she is suffering from. But also because there are so many things that come up with Dory in the first one. They're like just weird little like throwaway things, even just like one-line jokes from the first one, and they bring it back for this one and give it the like dark, gritty origin story behind it.
It's like when Dory first met Marlon, she's like, oh, you're looking for your family. Where is mine? No, she's like, oh, I have short-term memory loss. I think it runs in my family. At least I think it runs in my family. Where are they? And it's like, at first, when you see it, it's like, oh, that's a silly little throwaway joke. But then after seeing Finding Dory, you're just like,
yeah. Yeah, and like in the first one, she said, oh yeah, I was looking for something, I don't remember what it was. Her family. She's literally like, we see like her spending her entire life trying to find her family, but she doesn't remember that she's searching for her family. Or like, you know, in the first one when she mentions that she speaks whale, like you find out why she speaks whale. It's like, holy cow, like every single thing about Dory in the first one, they give you an origin behind it. Like, she is now a more fleshed out character than Marlon was in the first one.
You don't think it has, like, too many callbacks to the...
No, I think it's brilliant.
Okay.
Because, like, I didn't even think about some of these. And, like, they weave it into this story well enough. Like, they don't stop the movie to say, oh, remember that thing from the first one? It's like, no, like, they craft a story that then explains things from the first one.
I'm just curious as to, like Dory speaks whale because she was talking to a whale shark, but aren't whale sharks not whales?
Loophole found. Oh, I've got a letter here from Pixar. Shut up. It's like, I don't give a crap, they're cute, just put them in there. It's like, I don't know, are whale sharks? Sharks?
I thought they had gills.
I think they're sharks. Yeah, you're right. They are.
Yeah, and they don't eat fish; they eat krill.
I have no. Yeah, I'm beginning to think this film isn't scientifically accurate.
What? A film about talking fish not scientifically accurate? Who would have thought?
That is something that I want to say though, is that I really like all the new characters in this one.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I didn't really give a crap about most of the characters in the first one. Like, I know that everybody loves Bruce and the big sharks, and I was like, whatever. And everybody thought Crash was amazing. I was like, Crush. I didn't even care about that dude enough to remember his name.
It's like they just used him to like get to where they were going. It's like, okay, that's out of the way. Now back to the story. Yeah.
But it's like every new character in this one, I actually liked more than the ones in the last one. Like, I already mentioned Hank. Hank was a great breakout star in this one. But also the whale shark and the beluga whale. they were an amazing duo. They were two fish that lived next to each, well, the blue, you know, two aquatic animals that live in tanks right next to each other. And because of that, like, they have been there for years. And, like, the beluga whale is this guy who got brought in because he had a head injury, so his echolocation doesn't work. And she's just like, he's absolutely fine. I've heard them saying that there's absolutely nothing wrong with him. It's like, no, trust me. I'm just not feeling it. Like, he's that overly paranoid guy who's just like, no, I'm going to take another sick day off. It's like, you have not been sick in, like, a week. It's like, no, but I could come back at any moment now. You guys, you all know, we all know someone like that. I've been that guy in my lifetime. But yeah, so I thought he was great, and the sea lions, I wish they had done more with.
Yeah.
Like, if you saw that one little clip they have of where they're, like, yelling at Gerald, like, that's, like, half of all their appearances in this. But they were awesome. Like, I almost got the feeling, like, Idris Elba just, like, was there to record his part in Zootopia, and then right before he went across the street to record Heimdall for Thor 3, he then just went, hey, is that the Pixar Studios over there? All right, mate, I'm going to go and check out. I don't know why he's Australian in my version. But he was like, hey, Pixar, hey, yeah, come on. I want to take a tour of your studios. And I was like, okay. Would you mind reading this line real quick? We'll use it in something. Yeah, they were so fun. They were hilarious, but they were used so small, like just barely in that thing. So I wish they had done more with them. Oh yeah, there was one other thing that I wanted to bring up, which is, to me, is the most dramatic scene in the whole thing. We're talking about how this thing really shows you her struggling with her condition, and struggling with her memory loss. There is a moment there in which she gets, like, tossed back out into the ocean, and but Marlin and Nemo are still inside, and they're about to be put on this truck going out to Cleveland, and she has to go and save them, and she's, like, asking people for help, and they're like, okay, well, what do you need help with? And they're like, oh shoot. And I was like, you feel for that in the audience, because you're like, no, don't forget this, you can't forget this. And then she starts forgetting, but then she starts, like, swimming out towards the ocean, and she's like, I was doing something. What? It was important. It's like, this is really, like, that look to me was close to Toy Story 3 when they're about to all go into the incinerator. In which, it's not quite there, because I legit thought in that film, oh my god, they're gonna kill these toys. In this one, I was like, oh, no. Like, I knew that she was going to remember, but it still got me kind of going like, no. And then, like, when she actually, like, stops and goes, okay, stop, assess the situation, go around. I was like, these are, like, the steps that they actually, like, teach, like, people with special needs. It's like, this is a brilliant way of really working that in there. I just
realized, like, what she did is what Marlin would do.
Yeah. That was also a great thing.
And then there was a time when Marlin got stuck, and he was like, what would Dory do? So I think that's a great lesson, that, like, thinking certain ways helps you out and everything. So, like, if you know, like we said before, the moral of the story is, like, if there's always a way.
Yeah, there's always a way, but also, you know, it's multiple different
yes,
messages.
exactly.
Like,
so
there's always a way. Think outside the box. Think differently, but also, you know,
that general area of morals.
I mean, but the main thing is, it's like, hey man, people with special needs are people too, and they are capable of living lives as long as they have a support system around them. So I feel, seriously, name me the last film that had that message that actually treated it with respect. That it wasn't like, you know, like I said, Radio or I Am Sam or, you know, one of those types of films that were just garbage and terrible interpretations, in which I don't want to quote the line, but for anybody who saw Tropic Thunder, you know the line. Yeah, name me a film that actually treated it with the amount of respect that this film did. And man, seriously, between this and Zootopia, again, like for anybody who saw Zootopia, name me another film that had that message in there. Name me another film where, like, they had a character who was a cop standing up there talking about, like, cops using, like, you know, discrimination techniques out there. I was like, I remember when I was watching that in Zootopia, I was like, did they just bring up this subject in a kid's film? Adult films don't do that. Like Disney this year is just knocking it out of the park with their animation. They are absolutely like, no. We have already established ourselves as the kings. We have already established ourselves as the makers of amazing entertainment. We run the princess industry. We've grabbed up the superhero industry. Now it's time to change the world for the better. I was like, God, Disney, you are just blowing my mind this year. Moana has a lot that they gotta live up to now. Moana will be fine. Moana looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Although I will say, real quick, I want to talk about this real quick. The trailer from Moana came on before this film, and it looks great. I'm very much looking forward to it. I can't name like any. This is gonna be a weird thing for a 6'3" dude to say, but I can't name any Disney princess movies that I have disliked. I mean, there's some that I'm like, on, but yeah, in the past like 5 years, they've all been fantastic. So I'm absolutely looking forward to Moana. However, there were like 3 trailers for animated kids films right before this one, and they all look like dog shit.
Well,
like absolute
Pixar,
garbage.
well, neither Pixar nor Disney are in charge of those, so.
Oh, I know that, but I just wanted to point those out real quick. Like, we got the, quote, final Ice Age film, and I was watching that, and I was like, those poor actors. Those poor actors. Like, you got, even the lowest, lamest character in those films is still like a big name actor, and they're just like, we got you under contract. You gotta come back for this one too. Like, I was having this thought while I was watching that trailer. It just kind of hit me. It's like, does anyone like look forward to the Ice Age films? Like, even the Shrek films, like even the 4th Shrek film, there were Shrek fans out there like, oh yeah, I can't wait for this. I'm positive that all the Ice Age fans are like kids who haven't really seen any of the Ice Age films and haven't gotten tired of them yet. Or they're just people who's like, there's nothing at the theater this week, but I want to go and see something.
Like, was the first Ice Age that popular that they insisted on like making like 4 more movies?
It's weird. I remember there was like, the first one like did well, then if memory serves me correctly, it was like, did well, did okay, did meh. Then like the 4th one or something, which it was like, why are you doing this? That one did really well.
Really?
I can't remember, like there was one, it might have been the 3rd one. But there was one that went like from here
Yeah, like
to
the
here,
3rd one was the one with dinosaurs, and everyone knows kids love dinosaurs.
Okay.
So I think that might have been the one that was the
that makes sense.
Money.
But like there was that trailer. Then there was one for something called The Wild Side.
I have not heard of that one. Like,
well, I mean, you saw the trailer.
Well, yeah, but I haven't heard of it before.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it. It's Robinson Crusoe on an island with some talking helper animals fighting off pirates, and I was watching this like, it's absolute garbage animation. Like, I hate being mean to animators, but it is terrible looking animation. Except the 3D looks incredible. Like, I was jumping all throughout that trailer because the 3D is constantly just popping in your face. But it's because they were constantly doing stuff with the animation. It's not, like, I'll say that about Finding Dory. I really don't feel like you need 3D.
No.
Like, if you can't get into a 3D showing, it's fine. You can skip it. You're fine. But I was watching, the trailer for The Wild Side, every 10 seconds something is BAM! In your face! And I was like, it's really coming, like, at your face. And it was, like, making me jump a little. But it looks just so stupid, and the acting looks terrible in there. Like, Robinson Crusoe, I think, is being voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. Yuri Lowenthal does a good job in video games and anime, but he is a video games and anime voiceover guy, which means he works for incredibly cheap. So if they got him as the star, that means they had a budget of like nothing on this movie. But then there was a 3rd animated one that also just looked terrible. I can't remember. What was it?
It wasn't The Secret Life of Pets. Was it?
No, that one looks fine.
It looks fine.
It looks fine.
There was well, it's not animated, but Monster Truck.
Oh, that might be what I was thinking of.
Oh.
I might have been thinking of that because that looks dumb too. That is what I was thinking of, because I remember when the trailer for The Wild Side came on, which has like a hip hop song in which they just go, "Welcome to the Wild Side" over and over again, and it's like Robinson Crusoe on an island. You're putting hip hop to that. But I remember that it said coming in September. Like, of course that's coming in September. September's a dump month. September is one of the 2 dump months of the years. The month in which they're like, oh, this will be big. Then they see it, it's like, oh, no, it won't. Push it back until right after all the other big releases are done and nothing is coming out. September and January are those months. And then the monster truck trailer came on and it goes, coming in January. And I was like, oh, of course. It's like, wow, that's how you know both those things are just going to be garbage. But, man, yeah, it was one of those in which I know it had nothing to do with this film, but all three of those were like back to back to back, and I remember just watching them going, oh my god, we were like out of good children's entertainment. Like, we used it all up. Then the trailer for Moana came on, I was like, you got my back, Disney. You got my back on this one. Watch Moana be terrible and Ice Age 5 be really surprisingly good. I'm kidding. That's not going to happen. Here's how you know that all three of those films were terrible. In all three of them, it had some kind of a gag and then a cutaway to someone going like, oh, that ain't good. Or, oh, that nasty. Or, ooh. Like, anytime that you see that in a trailer, 90% chance it's going to be garbage.
But yeah, there was like one thing I kind of wanted to touch on. Like, there was like a moment where like Dory finds other blue tangs and before they get shipped off, and she's like, where's my mom and dad? And the other ones are like, oh, they went out and tried looking for you. They've been gone for years. And Dory's like, they're dead? And that honestly like shocked me because I thought like that's what they were gonna pull. Like, Dory has to accept that her parents are gone, but she has Marlin and Nemo and they're her family. I thought that's the kind of thing they were gonna pull on me.
I was trying to figure that one out. Like, I was like, is this what they're going for, or is it gonna be the surprise reveal?
Yeah. But, like, the thing is, unlike in Finding Nemo, where Nemo pretended to be dead, and we all saw him pretend to be dead, and we knew Marlin was just being tricked and, like, being misled and everything, so, like, it wasn't that big of a surprise. Like, until then, like, we've never even seen Dory's parents up until then, except in flashbacks. So I wasn't sure if they were gonna pull that off. I mean, they killed off Nemo's mom and his siblings, so who knows?
Well, it's a Disney film. If it doesn't start with the mom already being dead, then it's not.
But, like, then, like, it shows, like, Dory going into, like, a panic attack, and, like, as someone who, like, suffers from anxiety, it's like, wow, this is exactly what it feels like. You feel like, yeah, like, you feel numb, everything's starting to, like, spin, and you don't feel well. Like, that's pretty much how it feels, like.
Yeah, like, between this and, what was the one from last year? What was that one that came out last year? You know the one that I'm talking about. Hope, joy, sadness.
Inside Out, yes.
Yeah, it's like, between that, it's like, wow, you guys are really, like, you're in touch with some good psychiatrists. You know people. Or, in all honesty, I would not be shocked if some of the people working on this film, like, actually did have kids with, like, special needs, or, like, kids who went through these things. Or they themselves went through these things. Because, yeah, this all has that feel of coming from a very personal place. So if you're telling me, as someone who has suffered from panic attacks, that's exactly what a panic attack is like. It's like, oh, they probably know this then. They probably did not just guess at it. They probably had, like, someone they could ask, or they themselves went, no, let me tell you what it's like. So, yeah, this film really did impress me. I would say that just as a movie, I'd say the first one's better, but I think this one, I have to applaud for tackling something.
Yes.
Tackling an issue. The first one was an adventure. This one, they're actually going out and trying to make a statement about something, and I think that they really pulled it off. In fact, it's really surprising me that in the first one, I was laughing pretty frequently in that film. This one is not really funny. I mean, there's jokes in there, but they're more like, I found myself, like, halfway through this film, I just stopped, like, laughing. Like, I mean, there were good jokes all throughout the beginning of it, mostly them involving the sea lions. Which, by the way, an amazing post-credit scene. But yeah, about halfway through this film, I didn't really get, like, any jokes out of this anymore. I was more just like, oh wow, this story. I'm here for the story at this point.
Yeah, it's like you don't need to have jokes to have a good movie, and I really wish the people behind Ice Age and all that bullshit would realize that.
In all honesty, I don't want Ice Age to try and be serious. That'd just be too weird. They could pull back from it.
Ice Age gets real, all the characters go extinct.
God damn. How many of those fucking movies has "we're about to go extinct" been the premise of it? Oh my god, the dinosaurs are coming back. Oh my god, everything is melting. Oh my god, the asteroids are coming. Like, Jesus Christ.
Just die already!
Alright, well, I think that's about it for us.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got a bunch of other post-Geek Out reactions coming. We got one for Ninja Turtles, we got one for Warcraft. We might do one for Voltron too, because we just started watching the Voltron cartoon. It's damn good. So yeah, we got a bunch more coming, but we also have a lot more professional looking videos coming on this site. Like I said, these are not the reviews. The reviews I actually sit down, record in a professional looking set, or that's a joke, in my better looking set, with better lighting and with an actual script written out. So if you want to see some more professional looking stuff from us, then make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to see anything else from the world of geekery, whether it has to do with movies, comic books, or video games, then again, hit that subscribe button. And if you like any of the videos on this site, then please share them all around the web. It's the best way to help out this channel. You guys have been doing that a lot lately, and we really appreciate it. So thank you guys very much, and come back next time.
Bye.
Bye.